marketing is like, people asking you on a date, but PR is the reason you say yes, is because of that brand. It's because of those relationships.
Welcome back to the RV Queens podcast, where we dive into the world of women making money and living life on the road. Today, we're getting deep into the world of marketing and public relations with Jessica Walker, a seasoned PR pro, business owner, and full-time RVer. With over 20 years of experience, Jess has helped businesses navigate everything from traditional media to cutting-edge social platforms. Since hitting the road, she's taking her expertise mobile, running her marketing and PR consultancy while living in her Class A RV. In this episode, Jess shares actionable strategies for building a brand, engaging your audience, and making the most of your marketing efforts, no matter the size of your business. If you're ready to take your business to the next level, this episode is full of tips you can start using today. So grab your coffee and let's roll. Hey, welcome to the RV Queens podcast, Jessica. Where in the world are you this week?
Well, this week we are in St. Augustine, Florida. And it's actually been really nice weather, but I'm excited because I think we're supposed to get a cold front tomorrow. So be even breezier and fun to be on the beach some more.
Oh man. Are you familiar with that area? Like, have you visited there before?
Yeah. So my husband, his family is in Gainesville. And so they continued to come over to St. Augustine when they were kids growing up, and our girls have come here. And so we're actually really familiar with it. Quite a few of the Marco Polo queens are used to me sending, I have an email list of all the things to do and nothing not to do, but all the things to go do in St. Augustine that I share out. And we actually got married on Crescent Beach, which is just south of St. Augustine Beach. So yeah, we're very familiar with the area. We love it here.
We're in Gulf Shores, Alabama right now.
Now, where are you at?
Yeah, we've been here multiple times over the past 4 years, and it's starting to feel like familiar, and felt like a little homecoming, even though we're not from here. But it's like after a whole year of travel, being back in a familiar place is just nice. Okay, Jess, before we dive into your expertise, I've got to ask about your full-time travel life. Just give us the background. What led you and your husband to leave your house and network that you've built in Florida to live and travel full-time in an RV?
Many people, everybody loves Florida, and it is beautiful. I have to agree on that. But when you live in Florida, especially when you live in Southwest Florida, it gets a little crowded in season, which is basically January to April. And, when our girls were grown, they are grown, but they're in their late 20s, they left the area. So we have one in Florida and one in Washington State. And when my husband retired, he had this big dream of traveling out west for several months. And so back in 2022, we did that. We did a 3-month trip out, and we just enjoyed it. And, when the girls were little, we did camping with them. Then when they became teenagers, we got a boat instead because nobody ever wanted to camp. They always wanted to go to the beach instead. So we did that. And then we decided, for retirement, let's get an RV and go out west and do our own thing. And we kind of loved it, from the beginning. And summer of 23, we did a 2-month trip. And that's when we came back and we said, you know what? The only thing that holds us in Southwest Florida is the job I had at the time, which was a great job, but there was no family there. Everybody had left. It's getting hot and crowded. And, I don't know about you guys, but Hurricane Ian made a very direct visit to our house in 22. So, we were kind of ready and ready to let go. So we spent the whole year from that point to April of 24 trying to prepare for that. Pick the brains of people that we knew were already full-timing, figure out what they do for mail, what do you do for prescriptions, what do you, vet care, kids, not that we had to think about the kids, but, just understanding that's a whole different lifestyle. And getting rid of everything becomes a little bit addicting. You wouldn't think so. But once we started selling everything in the house, we just kept going. And so we sold the house in April, and we do have a storage unit in Gainesville because that's considered our home base. Since we do have family there, our oldest daughter's there. And, we keep a 10 by 10 there with photos and sentimental stuff, but we've been full timing since April and we love it.
We've been on the road over 2+ years, and people are still like, oh, so we won't see you on Thanksgiving? Not this year. No. So I think the holidays too, I think that's really hard for, those of us that have lived like traditional American lives for our whole life. It's like, that's the time of year when everyone sees everyone, even if, to be honest, we all don't want to be there sometimes. It's like, yeah, we're going to stop doing these things that are just expected. Yeah.
Our girls will occasionally fly to meet us at a place and stay a couple nights with us to explore national parks and stuff. But it's really quite simple with the two of us. And I think other people are like, how do you spend that much time with your spouse? I'm like, well, you have different parts. You go outside, you go ride a bike. Like,
yeah.
Your
shift to travel life coincided to your shift also to run your own business, which is a marketing and PR consultancy. And you've had a pretty epic career of over 20 years in this industry. So tell us what mindset shifts you've had since you went from being an employee to now running your own business.
For over 20 years, I've worked for a company. I've always been their marketing and PR person for one company. And again, as I mentioned earlier, the only thing holding us in Southwest Florida was my job. And we wanted that flexibility and freedom, especially going into different time zones. My husband's retired. He has a lot of freedom. We want to explore these places together that we're going. And so we finally just talked about it a lot, did a lot of soul searching and thought, let's just try it. Let's see what happens, and we're kind of in it together, even though I'm doing the marketing and PR consulting side. He's very savvy with the bookkeeping and record keeping and stuff like that. So he's kind of got his hands in it as well. So it works out well for us to have two different parts in it. But going and making that shift, I'm a very schedule oriented person. So even for working out, for me to have a fitness regime, I needed to have accountability and a schedule. So that has been a big shift for me, is figuring out, I need to make my own schedule and I need to just be accountable to it myself, because nobody's expecting me to clock in at a certain time. Nobody's expecting me to be in a certain spot. And so it's a big challenge to get used to that. We decided, why not? I've had, like we said, over 20 years. I've got my master's in public relations, and I also have my accreditation in public relations. And in Florida, I'm a certified public relations counselor. So I have all these credentials. I should just probably put them to good use somewhere. And, you can pick and choose projects. It works for small businesses, I think, because I don't have a minimum. I'm like, you want me to just do one project and make an image or a press release for you for X dollars? Okay. It's a lot simpler, I think, is a big part of it too. It's not so, at least right now, you have stressful moments in any career, but it's not as stressful as it has been being in a corporate environment.
I love that you have that ease of, you're not necessarily like relying on this. You can do it because you're passionate about it and you want to help others. And I just wish you all the success, because I know, at least for me, the businesses that I've had thrive in my life, it's always when I go into it with that sense of ease. Because you don't have the pressure of, and like the stress of like, I need your money, please.
I think you get that, what is it, a feast or famine as well. You panic because you don't have anything coming in, and then you get a bunch of people asking you questions, and you start panicking, thinking, oh my gosh, will I have too much? So that's a balance as well, is figuring out, okay, I've got to kind of get that balance working between not panicking over one or the other.
So I'm excited to dive into your expertise, because we have a lot of women who listen to the podcast and are active in the RV Queens community. And these women are making money on the road, as such, are building a brand in one way or another. So let's start with the basics. Mm-hmm. Will you break down the difference between brand versus marketing versus public relations?
Marketing is what we always call the paid arm of things, essentially. I know marketing is used a lot in description of all of it. Communications, PR, all of it tends to just land under marketing because it's a simpler thing for people outside of that industry to understand. But marketing truly in its sense is the paid version of something. So if you're doing paid ads, putting things out there, if you're paying to to put your brand out there. Your brand is also, it's you. Like, it's got to be not just your business, but businesses and business brands are built on relationships. And so you have to be genuine, you have to be ethical, and you have to be empathetic, because people are buying on feeling, are engaging on feeling versus you selling them or seeing a great ad or something of that nature. And then public relations is like the earned side of things. So it's basically people promoting you and supporting you because of your brand or your reputation, because they know that you are who you say you are, that you are genuine, that you're not just faking something to get further and make just money and not care about how it impacts other people. Marketing is like, people asking you on a date, but PR is the reason you say yes, is because of that brand. It's because of those relationships.
So how have you seen the strategies in marketing and PR and brand and all this stuff shift and change since you started 20 years ago to now?
Well, the internet, for one. You had to type up press releases and fax them, and that is definitely showing my age on that. But it's, and traditional media, like, people think, when they think media, in the olden days, it was TV, radio, magazine, newspaper. Basically, that was your staples when it came to getting in front of the media. But nowadays, you have so much more to grapple with, so many different channels, not only to use as a resource, but to also compete against as well. And not against other people, just continual learning, continually having to see what the newest thing is, and is that going to stick around? And if it is, then you have to step into that learning cycle. But now when I think, you have to promote your brand to the media, it's not just your traditional media anymore. It's promoting it to social media. You've got the algorithms, so you're kind of also courting that area too. And it just kind of bears down to seeing that in that 20-year span of how much growth has happened. And AI, while has been out for a long time, the access for public use has been out, I think, 2 years now. And that is creating a whole nother layer of things for people to learn how to deal and brand against and brand with.
Would you say it's more complex now than it was when you started?
Yes, by far. But that has its good and bad things, just as anything does. You've got pros and cons in any of that. I mean, it's great because there's more ability for engagement with your audience. When you were just dealing with traditional media, when it came to TV, radio, magazine, and newspaper, that was a one-way communication. Mm-hmm. You were just telling the public what you wanted them to know or what you wanted them to hear. But now the nice thing with having a little bit more control over your messaging is that you can engage with your audience. You can learn what they want to hear, what they don't want to hear, what they want from you, what they like about your services or your products, so that you can make yourself better. And then in turn, that strengthens that relationship with your audience because they see that you're willing to take their feedback and make something more, and you're invested in that relationship with them.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. I think it's because I've been so steeped in, I don't even know how old I was when the internet came out, probably 10 or 15 or something. So I love hearing people's stories from like pre-internet days to now, because I think it just gives us such perspective on like, in general, but then also how much easier we have it and how many tools we have at our disposal. It gives me like a gratitude for it. So thank you for that. Okay, so you mentioned the peso model, but you use a method called RPIE. I don't know if there's like a way to pronounce that, that you use with your clients. What is this method?
Everybody thinks PR cannot be measured, but that is so far from the truth. Because marketing is something that's more tangible. You can say, I placed an ad to sell this product. We sold 12 of them. Clearly it worked. Where when public relations, being an organic method and a relationship building method, it's harder sometimes to measure that, but not impossible. You just have to be strategic and intentional in the beginning. And so the standard model, and these are the four core parts of it, is RPIE, which is research, planning, implementation, and evaluation. There's a layer of steps under each of those, but anything you do can be measured if you follow that plan. And so basically, you want to promote a product that's coming out. Well, research, see, has the product been out? If it has, how are people using it? Who else is involved in it? What are your competitors doing? Get your baseline so that you can figure out, hey, I want to have, so many people visit my website and spend X amount of time on the website. So I know that they're actually reading the messaging that I have there. And so you say, oh, I want to have, my goal is to increase the traffic to the website so that I know that my message is coming out. Well, then under the planning, you're building your steps of making like your objective. So that would always be at the measurable part of it. And you put something in that says, okay, by May 15th, I'm going to have gotten, visits to the website up by 60%. Well, because you've got your benchmark now, you know where you're starting. And by the time you get to May, you'll see, just take the same evaluation there and you'll get that. Implementation, of course, is putting the steps into place of what you wanted to do and how you're going to roll your plan out, but also checking during that time. So like in January or halfway through, check and say, hey, how is the traffic doing? Is there something I could be doing differently that could help keep that going if the momentum's up? If it's not moving at all, what am I doing that's not working? So you evaluate all the way through. And essentially, once you get to the end, if you followed your RPIE steps, hopefully you've been able to accomplish your objective and get the goals, reached that you were looking for.
Okay, let's get really tactical for like the travel mom who's running a business and trying to build a brand part-time, like in the pockets of their days and nights and stuff like that. Is the strategy you just described something that these women can implement on their own? Like, are you proposing like a Google spreadsheet type situation, or like just on a really tactical level, how does one just begin?
It's definitely a bigger process when you're putting pen to paper and trying to put that out there. So it's not just saying, I just want to make more money or I want to make sales. What do you want to do? Like, you have to always have a goal and something to measure. It's not, I'm doing it because everybody else is doing it. A lot of companies will even tell their marketing team, well, so-and-so is doing it. When they're like, but why? Why are they doing it? Why do we need to do it? Is it really something that is going to push what we're trying to accomplish? There's always got to be a reason or a goal. And so if anybody, entrepreneurs, moms on the road, selling services or products, as long as they start with that and say, and you don't have to make huge objectives. You can just do a small thing to begin with to see how it works. I want to increase my engagement on Instagram up 5%, by the end of 60 days, and work towards that. And then as you get more comfortable with setting up, as we call them, campaigns for what you're doing, then you can make loftier goals, make loftier objectives so that, it's measurable. But that's the end goal, is all of those things help and work because it makes you plan it out. It's not just winging it.
Quick idea I'm going to throw out to you. Have you ever thought about just creating like a little mini course or like some kind of like download that people can buy from you to just get RPIE for their own business working? Because that would be so helpful.
No, because the RPIE, which I'm fine to share like information, I'm definitely, open to connect with people and kind of help them start that way. I mean, honestly, too, you can Google these things, for public relations communications plan is essentially what you're looking for. And I wouldn't feel ethically right making money off of it, considering then that it is something that is, it's a staple to it. But again, it's an incredible tool and incredible planning. And so I'm always happy I geek out over PR stuff. So I'm always happy to talk PR and, share thoughts and ideas. I know some of the ladies that I've become friends with in the the Marco Polos, we've had our own side things when they've had questions about their stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, have you thought of X, Y, and Z? And then try this over here. And, it comes down to what you put out is going to come back to you anyway. And I want people to succeed. I want people to find their joy and success. And there's no reason they shouldn't. So it's just something that I'm fine to share with, but selling it, I wouldn't feel good about. But now if people want to hire me down the line after I give some good tips, then that's great.
I appreciate that. I can see what you mean. It's not your original thought, so you wouldn't want to like make money off of it. But even just like a teaching of like how to use RPIE in your business or like something like that.
Oh yeah.
Something like that.
I'm happy to share stuff like that or have little webinars or something. Have to figure out how to do that one.
Yeah.
Being that I am from the faxing age of press releases, my tech savviness is a little behind sometimes. That's why I was on so early to here. I'm like, I just need to make sure it works.
Oh, that's so funny. Good for you. You're on it. Okay, so how should a small business owner think about public relations like in the rest of 2024 and then beyond? Like, is the idea of getting noticed by traditional media and published in, like traditional publications even relevant for us who are small from here on out?
I mean, anytime you can get exposure on TV or in a publication, especially if you can write something and be published, that's always great. It's, it's a good feather in your cap there. It's something that gives you that credibility. And that's an important part of it all too, is showing that you're credible and that you understand and are the expert in your area. Essentially, I mean, people want you to succeed. I know when people do public speaking, they're always concerned about it, but nobody's sitting out there hoping that you fail. People want you to succeed and do well. But I think there are so many other things that people can do and collaborations, especially in the RV industry, that, we see quite often amongst a lot of the other queens, in that you partner with a business, you share and expose them to others who are going to use those, tools or would be likely to use those tools. You build that credibility with that vendor so that future vendors will want to work with you. So I think yes and no. Traditional, if you can get it, I wouldn't spin my wheels on it, but if you can get things out there, that's just a good thing to have. But I think the big part is looking at what people want to do. If they want to make money while living on the road in the RV, how are you going to do it? Are you going to be an influencer for products and things of that nature? Are you going to have a business that you're just running from the road? And figuring out what partnerships work. Because especially with social media, the other part that helps influencers is those relationships and partnerships. So
I'm sure you're someone who like eats, sleeps, and breathes marketing and PR stuff. I mean, you've been in it so long. I'm assuming this is what you do. So what trends do you see on the horizon for social media versus traditional media? Like in other words, like what should small business owners be putting their time, money, and energy into to build a brand for the future?
It's got to be something that you flow into, that you're passionate about, kind of talking about coming into the business with ease. If you're doing something you're excited about, then you're going to be invested in it anyway. If you're doing something just to make money at it because you think, oh, this is easy and I should try it this way, it's going to be a lot harder. So first off, make sure that you're excited about what you're doing. Second, I attended a conference recently, and I remember the one of the social media speakers was talking about LinkedIn, and she really ended up skyrocketing when she started just putting out her like initial work. Like, not, some of us will spend an hour or so working on, maybe longer, working on videos and things and music to get the perfect timing and all of this. And that's great. And then you'll do like a 2-second post that you throw out there that all of a sudden becomes viral and garners way more attention than the one you just put all your effort into. And so what that tells me is do the stuff that you are enjoying and that is fun for you. I know some collaborations, there's a lot of rules and restrictions. So make sure that you're collaborating with companies too that meet your needs. It's not all one-sided. It just like any employment or relationship, it's two-sided. And if you feel like a collaborator or somebody is asking way too much of you and that's not a comfort level, then it's going to already be a struggle from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think people have to, one, do things that they're passionate about. And these trends, like, it's hard to tag into the trends. And I think if people are just genuine about what you're seeing, what they're showing you, then that is what is going to pull people in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of the Instagram accounts I follow that are people I don't know are people that, I just enjoy watching their videos, their, a glimpse into what they're doing. I find them humorous, things like that. Just be yourself and embrace that is really one of the big things. And knowing your target audience and how to get to them. I mean, it truly is, I can't say it enough, relationship driven. Almost anything nowadays is.
To me, it seems the idea of like marketing my business and coming up with a plan and public relations and all this stuff is like, it feels really overwhelming. But what I can do is day after day, engage with my audience. Like that feels like the one thing I'm like, okay, look, it's bite-sized enough for me to control and get the feedback. And then, as the business grows and all that kind of thing, to me, what I'm getting from what you're saying is like, it's okay to just do what you can right now and down the road, worry about these bigger brand partnerships and the media, exposure and like all of that stuff. As a small business owner where I am right now, maybe don't worry about that unless an opportunity like shows itself.
And things will come. They really will. Especially the more that people see, who you are, and it just works out, I think, in the end as well. So no, it's definitely a good thing. And I even like businesses, and I don't know if many of the RV queens operate with like Google reviews and stuff, but I always would advise businesses too that if they got a negative review, whether even on Facebook, because I know Facebook and all of them will do reviews, don't ignore it. Don't try to remove it. As long as it's valid. There's so many bots out there. Some of them are just fake. If you have a genuine review of somebody that was unhappy, addressing that, because anybody looking in the future sees that you were trying to be empathetic to that person. Now, not in a negative way. Definitely PR your answer on responding to them. But we hate to hear that you had a disappointing situation. Like, please reach out to us at X website or email. We'd love to talk more with you to find out how we could earn your service back or earn your business back. And so again, you might still keep that negative review, but you're engaging and you're showing that you care about what your customers, your clients, anybody is giving to you or saying to you.
Let me ask you about a buzzword that feels like it's been flying around for a couple years, but it's probably been a decade by now. And that buzzword is personal brand. How should a business owner be thinking about their personal brand while also building a brand and a business?
It is something that I am very, very passionate about. When I was helping other PR professionals get their credentials and teaching and stuff, personal brand is not just a PR person thing. It is an everybody thing, because what you do as a person is going to still roll into your business. This is why, especially in the PR world, I don't put out my thoughts on certain topics, whether it's political or whatever's happening, because you alienate one side of your audience no matter what. I mean, our audiences are comprised of so many different backgrounds and beliefs. And so personal brand is also just being cognizant of what you're doing and what you're putting out there, what people are seeing you do. If you're, say somebody is a PR professional and then they're out drunk driving, and they work for a big company, well, that's not only reflective on that PR person, it's reflective on that company. Take, for example, which I don't know if this will be dating myself too, but like the Subway guy, the Jared guy,
Yes.
like had all of his scandals off on the side. Yeah. It doesn't just impact him, it impacts the company.
Right.
And so it's the same way, no matter how large or small you are, you want to be professional, you want to be caring and empathetic, because again, your audience, the people that you're trying to connect to, they're all backgrounds, they're all beliefs. And so that personal brand is important. And the other part of it is what I also express to like young PR professionals who know the gut feeling, and it can be for entrepreneurs too. If a company's asking you to do something that does not feel right, you are your personal brand. You can step away from that situation and be like, no, this doesn't agree with me. This is unethical. This would be false information. And you advise, like in company world, you advise them not to do so. And if they continue on that path, then it comes down to you protecting your own brand of yourself and stepping away from those situations. So it's definitely twofold, whether you're working with a collaborative company in the RV world. If they're telling you to say something about a product that you know is not true, then your personal brand is going to be on the line if you go that next step and say that. And so it's a buzzword for sure, but it's definitely something that is so important. And I am a huge advocate of people protecting their personal brands.
I also think it comes down to like basic integrity. Like I've had moments even when I've been exploring brand partnerships. And if like I'll have a conversation with a representative from a brand, and if I'm like, if it's not jiving and I'm not really like into their brand culture and their mission, and I'm like, you know what? Some people might consider it I'm leaving money on the table, but I'm like, we're not aligned, and that's okay. We can move on. This was not a match. Like, that's how I see it. Like, this wasn't quite a match. And also I want my audience to be able to trust what I'm saying and trust that the brand partners that I have on the show and across social media and stuff, like I'm serious. Like I use this. This is a brand that I trust, and I think you should too. And if I ever get to the point where I'm just like, I'm just trying to make money here, who cares? Like, to me, that's like what you're talking about. Like, that's where the personal brand takes a hit, because people are going to start not trusting you anymore, and your credibility goes down and all those kind of things. So, oh man, this has been so helpful, Jessica. Thank you. Okay, so go ahead and share with everyone where they can,
I hope so,
connect with you online. And then I'm going to ask you my last question.
Okay, perfect. Well, as far as the travel stuff that we use, my husband and I are on Facebook and Instagram, and that is The Walkers Wandering. And as far as my business side of thing, it's Jess Lifestyle Marketing, and that is actually on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So reach out to me any which way. Always happy to talk to people. And even if it's just bouncing ideas around on something, I'm always good for like a consultation, just back and forth of good thoughts, good ideas. What am I missing type of thing.
And your website, I believe, is JessicaLifestyleMarketing.com. Is that right?
Jess Lifestyle Marketing.
Yes. Lifestyle Marketing. My bad.
JESS. Okay. Lifestyle. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, and actually you reminded me, I have a blog coming up for personal branding that I have to get out at some point soon too. So,
okay. I bet by the time this episode airs, they can find it on your website. So we'll drop a link to that too in the show notes. So for this episode, I want to end with a 1-in-1 round where we each share a tool that is improving our lives these days. It can be something related to brand and marketing and PR, or it can be an app that you use, or it can be a kitchen gadget or a travel life thing, whatever. Do you have something that comes to mind right off the bat, or do you want me to go first?
Have you go first. I got to think for a second.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like unfair because I already knew this question was coming. This sounds so basic, but I spend so much time on the computer and on my phone that I have gotten back to using a paper planner. And I don't even like floral prints, but I just picked this one up because it has like the daily planning, like little sections that like the to-do list and all the things. And it's the thing that's really helped me. And I got to give kudos to my husband because he told me I should do it, is doing a nightly brain dump in this thing. When like the phone is put away, the computer, blah, 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 whatever. I'm sitting in bed in my pajamas and I write out a little like brain dump of here's a bunch of stuff in my mind and I just got to get it out, pen and paper. And it obviously you can use like a normal journal or notebook, whatever, but I just have come back to the basics of pen and paper, baby. Get it out of your brain. And it's like really helping me.
I love that. I do. And actually, you crack me up because I have off to the side my pen and paper planner. So
that thing looks thick.
Yeah. It's thick. It's thick. And I have always been a pen and paper person as far as structure. Like now journaling, it's too hard for me to do like the brain dump at the end. But I did actually recently go back to the planner hard copy because technology, like I said earlier, is not my friend. And so seeing things on a calendar on paper are very helpful. So for us, there's certain apps that we really enjoy being on the road. Of course, in the business world, all the Grammarly and all those things are really helpful. Chat GPT, those things like that for brainstorming ideas. But as far as like our travel life, we love our dog and we travel with her everywhere. And so we use Bring Fido a lot. That's an app that when we were like, hey, we want to take Stella with us to dinner, let's find a place near us that's dog friendly. So we use that a lot. But yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of these apps, tour guide apps, things like that are just helpful with the planning. There's just so much out there, which is probably why I'm like you. I've converted back to pen and paper because I made my husband and my dad go with me to Office Depot to find this planner. I'm like, I have to get a planner, and they're showing me different ones. I'm like, no, I need it to have this layout. Like, that's not going to help me.
And it has to lay flat, and it has, yeah, I agree. Like once you get into it, it's like, no, you know what you need. You got to get in there and hold it. Yeah, that's right. So shout out to like Barnes and Noble. And where did you say you got yours?
I like Office Depot or some. Yeah.
Shout out to the old school stores that have the paper planners. I hope they keep it up. So, okay. Thank you, Jessica, for inspiring us all, being on the show today. I've really enjoyed the conversation and getting to know you even more.
Yay. Same here.
Alrighty. I will.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I will see you on the road. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode and for being part of the RV Queens community. Remember to hit subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. And guess what? You can have conversations like I had on this episode with your fellow RV women who are living intentionally and making money on the road. Head to rvqueenspodcast.com/community to join RV Queen Circles today. It's a totally unique online space with a shared prosperity model that's all about community over competition. I'd love to have you be a part. All right, guys, I'll see you next week, or hopefully I will see you on the road. I don't even like floral prints,